Hey everybody, this is your daily dose of all things royal. I'm really trying to find the right words to describe this lengthy, asinine article that was released by The Cut. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure it's everywhere. I'm not going to put up the facade that they have been painting. Yes, Meghan did make the cover, but it's the wrong Meghan. It was Meghan the Stallion who made the cover where this vomit-inducing interview Meghan gave, or pretty much dictated. It's so pathetic that her PR team is trying to make it look like she had gotten the cover when in reality she didn't get the cover. It was the actual back cover that she got. And, I find it funny because nobody is seeing her face anywhere on the newsstands, which I think is wonderful. I really am starting to believe that the PR approach that's being taken now is to drown out the truth and those lies that have been exposed. And I think Meghan is using the tactic of repetition where she's emphatic to continue with these lies, and she's going to continue on with this false narrative in hopes that it becomes a reality. What's been clear is that they're going to continue to silence and remove critics by force, and at the same time they're going to saturate the media with this propaganda garbage. I was very close to not acknowledging this article today, but realized that this is what they want to see happen by saturating the media. I think the government should look into using Meghan Markle to help with interrogation, because if you had to listen to this every single day, this is like Chinese water torture. But in all seriousness, we can't give up not addressing what is really going on. And we must continue to voice our opinions, no matter how annoying or how exhausting and abusive this constant flooding of the media by Meghan Markle herself. It is my opinion, and the way that I see it, after being flooded with this barrage of propaganda she's pushing out, is that we have a person in society who has been toxic, who has been divisive and immoral. Let's call a spade a spade. What she is desperately trying to do is to get back this facade of being this global influencer and champion of humanity. No amount of PR is going to fix the fact that she is a fraud. And we shouldn't be afraid to call her that because she's on record calling herself that. And until the mainstream media recognizes it, those that live in a democratic society must voice the disapproval of Meghan Markle's abuse and gross negligence with mainstream media. This article is a perfect example of how Meghan has used the media and weaponized it to carry out verbal assaults on the British press, the British people, the royal family, and even her own family. I'm going to summarize a couple points that were brought up in this article, but what I'll do is I'll put the link to the archive version of this article below in case you're interested in rehashing things you already know. I don't recommend those going to the actual website to read the article because you don't want to give them clicks. The only way that we can push back is affect these media outlets financially to send a message that the public does not want to hear any more lies, whining, complaining, and hypocrisy coming out of Meghan Markle's mouth. And this is what this entire interview and article that was published today was all about. So let's start off by understanding the magazine that this was featured in, the New York Magazine. And a division within this magazine is called The Cut. What you guys need to understand is that this is the extreme leftist progressive ideologies that are being pushed forward. Remember this article about fearing for Meghan's life? It's the same magazine that published this article that was written by no other than Safiya Noble. Remember, she's the one that thinks that Google is racist, when in actuality, these are the racist people. They are the ones always talking about color. They're the ones who have a lot of animosity against white people. They're the ones that keep bringing up their race as a reason to play victim all the time. So this writer has a similar line of thinking, as seen in her previous works. Let me start off with the most irritating thing about this article, which was this paragraph, where she is stating that I feel clearer. It's like I'm not finding my voice. I've had my voice for a long time, but being able to use it. Bitch, please. Come on now. Meghan Markle has not stopped talking for the last 2 years, so I don't understand where she's saying she hasn't used her voice. The world listened to her when she went to Africa and used it as a platform to complain and whine about the fact that nobody asked her if she was okay. Or how about that interview that she's trying so desperately to get everybody to forget? Those 2 hours where she trashed the royal family with all kinds of lies. If I were Oprah, I'd be pissed today if I saw this in the article, considering that she was supposed to have the exclusive of being the first one to hear Meghan's truth. You know, if I were Oprah, I would sue her for damage to reputation. You know, in fact, I think the royal family should sue her. Meghan is going to continue to keep attacking and telling these lies against the family and gaslighting people on racial issues. The only way to shut her up is if the family puts their foot down and says you need to cut it out and take her to court. In this paragraph, the author got it completely wrong. She writes, "How did it get so hard? She had tried to play royal." No, Meghan Markle did not try to play royal. She had no intention on staying, and if this biased writer did any research or bothered to even look at the other side, she would have understood that Meghan was given all the resources and tools to succeed, but she chose not to accept it because she had no intention or desire to work or stay or do any public service because it was about the title. It was about locking Harry in and getting out of there so she can go off and monetize off of the royal name. To show you what a coward Meghan Markle is, on 2 instances, one, when the author tried to talk about the Oprah interview, Meghan told her to move on. The author then decides to summarize and reinforce the lies that were told on the interview, such as covering the bombshell about Archie's skin and clarifying that it was Kate that made Meghan cry, all lies that are being reinforced in this article. By doing this, this author discredits herself as a legitimate journalist. Now, this paragraph, I was laughing on the floor because only Meghan would be the one to put this in here to make it come across as if somebody else was saying this and that her modesty was showing, right? So here he says, well, the author says and writes that Harry had been left to his own devices, he tells me. And this is supposed to be Harry. "You were gone for like 10 hours yesterday," he marvels to his wife. "Tell her the first thing you said when you got back last night," meaning like when Meghan came back from this photo shoot. He says, turning to me, she said, "I'm not a model." Harry then says, "No, you are. Of course you can be a model." He may not mean it, but you know the saying, happy wife, happy life. And I'm sure Harry did not want to sleep in the doghouse that night. It's so sad and pathetic that she actually has to have or pay people to give her compliments, because this is exactly what it is. We know that she is extremely insecure, and this is just to boost her ego. And that's just a perfect example of showing that Meghan deep down inside wants the world to see her as a supermodel, but she didn't quite make it because she's short and she doesn't have the body type. Plus, you know, she's old. Now, the other area where she wants people to come to their own conclusion by putting these little seeds into people's heads is because she desperately wants to be called Princess Meghan. Now, of course, in this article, it could not be complete without the element of racism added to it. Right out the gate, as soon as the article started, it's written, "Meghan, given her strained relationship with the British tabloids, Harry's girl is straight out of Compton," is how the Daily Mail introduced her to the British public, and especially since she would soon have a child of her own to protect. Meghan's quoted saying, "Why would I give the very people that are calling my children the N-word a photo of my child before I can share it with the people that love my child?" she asks, still ruffled. So the author that's writing this, you can tell she's so clouded with racism that she indirectly insulted Serena by bringing back up this article as if it's racist, as if the people from Compton are bad. Now, remember, Serena is from Compton. Kevin Costner is from Compton. So what are you saying? At that point, I think Megan needs to just drop the stupid article because you know what? I get that you don't have very much to go on and this is what you keep rehashing, but let it go. If there was so much racism going on, I think they would be able to find another example instead of using this one example for the last 4 years. Now, Megan's quoted saying, "Why would I give the very people that are calling my children the N word a photo of my child?" Well, hold on a second. Where has anybody seen the press calling her children the N word? I'm just curious. All I've seen is the word nice, newborn, or is it because people are calling her nasty? Is that the N word she's talking about? Megan being nasty, nasty to her staff, nasty to the queen, nasty to her father, and everybody else that she has markled. Now, the last part of this article that I want to touch upon that I think is really important to highlight is the section where the author writes about Megan's relationship with her father, as well as the relationship that she has with her children. I don't believe this for 1 second in what was being said. So I think that this was done in a way for Megan to get her truth, to paint her as not being such an asshole that she is. The paragraph that talks about it says, Megan grew up very close to her father, Thomas, a retired lighting director who gave Megan her Hollywood bug, but she has been estranged from him basically since the wedding. It goes on to say that, she won her privacy case, the whole court deal about the letter that was leaked, right? So she's really doubling down on the fact that she was justified in suing the Daily Mail. And then going into saying where the author says, when I asked about it, Megan doesn't stay in her sadness for long. And you know what? The reason why is not because she's trying to be this strong and brave person and not allowing it to get her down. It's because she doesn't care. The woman doesn't care about what she did to her father. And, she does add at the end, I lost my dad in this process. It doesn't have to be the same for them as if it were for me, but that's his decision. Megan is at fault. She never once made the attempt to reconcile with her family, so she cannot put this on this poor man and lie again. This is more attacking in a way that is so hurtful. I just find this woman to be so callous and so cold. And what's really disgusting about the media is the fact that they do not bother to look at this with a balanced lens, as so Megan calls it, the lens. The lens is very skewed, it's very manipulated, and it is there to paint a narrative that Megan wants. And I'm sorry, but Megan's not going to get this time. Megan needs to be called out for being a cold, callous, and calculating individual. She is partly to blame for this media mess. It's not just the media's fault. When you consistently seek the press, when you consistently leak stories and you consistently tell these lies, guess what? You're going to get caught. So to flip this around and make people think that, oh, the media is so bad and they're telling the story, well, Megan, you are responsible for this. And you need to be held accountable. And all the citizen journalists who are talking about you and calling you out for your bullshit need to hold you accountable and remind the public that these are lies. And the joke in this article about Archie going to school and learning about manners, and how manners are so important. Well, guess what? I think Megan needs to go back to preschool because she seems to have forgotten what manners were like. And the kicker was how she ended this interview by saying, I think forgiveness is really important. It takes a lot more energy to not forgive, she says wisely. But it takes a lot of effort to forgive. I've really made an active effort, especially knowing that I can say anything, she says, her voice full of meaning. And then she is silent. By the end of this article, I truly believe and feel that she was on some sort of mind-altering drug because this doesn't sound sane at all. In fact, to emphasize and reaffirm all these lies, knowing that has been exposed, to me just shows that she is so disconnected from reality that she doesn't understand what is going on. And is it possible that the other one too had been doing whatever mind-altering medicine as well? Maybe. Because I can't see in good conscience somebody writing this and putting this out there when knowing that the majority of this is complete lies. That's just my opinion. So I'm just going to leave it there. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. People are being unsubscribed, so just check and see if you are subscribed still. And I will catch you soon. Bye.
It was such a fraud.